Last time, gamers, we looked into what Kim's moves could be if she was added to Smash Bros. And today we're going to be looking at everything besides her actual moves. Her stage, spirits, classic mode, etc. This is the Kim Pine Moveset expansion. Let's just hop right into it. Fair warning, this isn't going to make as much sense as it could if you haven't watched the previous video. You should anyway, because if you're watching a moveset expansion, it makes sense to watch the actual moveset first. Link to that in the description. But yeah, for just starting out with the stage, Chaos Theater. The round would start out at the top of the theater, at the top of the elevator, and an arrow would appear telling you to get on the elevator. The elevator would go down for a second until it reaches a stop. Then enemies would pop out of a door, and there's a chance for a couple items to fall from the ceiling. The enemies are just basic thugs, so they're easy to knock out and no big deal. When you defeat everyone, the word GO appears on the screen, and the elevator moves down. I should also mention that there's none of the clamp thingies that hold the elevator in place. The elevator will only start moving once you've defeated all the thugs. There definitely won't be as many thugs as there actually are in the game's level. It's just every once in a while the elevator will stop and thugs will appear, just as a bit of added fun. You reach the bottom of the Chaos Theater when 2/3 of the overall stocks are lost, or when 2/3 of the time is up, whichever happens first. If it's a 1 stock or a 1 minute game, you start out at the bottom. There's a few platforms at the bottom. Obviously, these two things here are platforms. And there's various Scott Pilgrim characters in the background. Giddy is also in the background. You can't see him, but he's up there in that little area. And he'll occasionally drop a few meteors down at you because he's so mad that you're fighting in his palace thingy. I don't know, I didn't actually watch the movie. That'd make too much sense. Next up is the music. I'm not going to bother reading all of these out, but I will mention if it's green, that means it needs to be remixed. If it's red, that means it should not be remixed. And if it's yellow, that means it's cool either way. A couple more things to note. The Gideon Wrath medley is a mashup of both Gideon Wrath songs. There's 2 parts to it. I do think they should be merged into just one song. I think it'd be cool if they made both a remixed version and a not remixed version. That could be really fun. I do quite like the Gideon Wrath songs, after all. They're really good boss fight themes. If you want to listen to any of these songs, there will be a playlist in the description to all 12 of these songs? I don't know how many there are. Some Mii costume ideas. If Kim was to get in as a Mii costume rather than a brawler, or a Mii costume rather than a fighter, she would be a brawler and her song would be Gideon Wrath medley. There's also the much more likely option, although still impossible option, of Scott getting in as a Mii costume. He would also be a brawler with the Gideon Wrath medley. Another idea is Knives as a sword fighter, because, you know, can't go wrong with Knives. For her classic mode, I did actually forget to set it so that only one set of characters is shown at a time. So you're just seeing the whole classic mode at once here, because I didn't think that through. We start out with Villager and 2 Princess Peaches, representing Matthew Patel and his weird demon girl guard thingies, and you're just gonna go through the whole game and fight characters representing all of the evil X's. We've got Little Mac representing Skateboard Guy, and then 2 of his mini skateboard guys. Ganondorf representing Todd What's-His-Face, with your Envy Adams and your Lynette Guycott. I did not even know their names until looking into it for the sake of this moveset expansion, which is a fun little fact for you. We've got Zero Suit Samus representing Roxanne Richter, I think her name is, with 2 Greninjas representing her ninja lackeys. We've got Ryu and Ken representing the twins, Mewtwo representing Mika Scott, a bonus stage, and then at the Chaos Theater, you'll fight Marth representing Gideon, and once you defeat him, he'll turn into a giant Marth representing Super Gideon. And the name of the classic mode route is a quest for Scott's love. With Scott just in a little parentheses there, because this ain't Kim's love. Kim's already got her love. I made out with her like a million times just so I could beat this stupid game. It's necessary to absolutely abuse Kim's knife summon if you want to beat the game. Anyway, moving on to the spirits. You've got Scott Pilgrim himself, represented by Kim Pine in her 5th ult. The stage would be Onit Town, and the conditions are: enemy starts the battle with a killing edge, enemy's physical attacks have increased power, and it's a stamina battle. His ability would be physical attack up. All physical attacks would be made slightly stronger. He's a primary attack type ace spirit with 2 support slots. Next would be Ramona Flowers, also represented by Kim Pine, but in her 6th ult. There'd be a rule that a bunch of hammer items spawn. The enemy would start the battle with a hammer, and it'd be a stamina battle, also taking place in the Onit Town stage. She would have no special ability, but she would be a shield type primary spirit, advanced class, and 2 support slots. Next is Stephen Stills, represented by Ken. I just realized I had both Sills and one of the twins represented by the same guy, Ken, so that's kind of funny. It'd be on the Chaos Theater stage, battlefield style. It'd be a stamina battle, and the enemy's physical attacks would have slightly increased power. His effect would be Fist Attack Up. It would slightly increase damage from attacks like punches. It'd be a Support Spirit, Advanced class, and it'd take up 1 support slot. Next up is Wallace Wells, represented by Mario. This one's a fun one. You'll probably notice a theme here. It's on the Chaos Theater stage. There's a rule where Cola and Tea items spawn. It's a stamina battle where the controls will occasionally reverse, and the enemy will become momentarily dizzy occasionally. He's a support advanced class spirit that costs 1 support slot, and his ability is Poison Resist, which would slightly decrease poison damage. You see the theme I went for here? I don't know anything else about Wallace, so I just made the whole theme how he likes, wine and getting drunk. Don't do that, kids. It's bad for you. I just themed Wallace's whole moveset around that. Or not whole moveset, whole spirit battle around that. I also considered making you immune to dizziness, but I figured you can't be immune to getting drunk. Only resistant to it. Anyway, next spirit would be Knives Chow, represented by Kim Pine in her 7th ult, the one that is based on knives, obviously, as you can see by these scribbles. I also don't have the scarf here. Kim is supposed to have a scarf in this ult. My bad. There'd be a rule where a bunch of sword items spawn, and the enemy's sword attacks would be more powerful. It'd be on the Chaos Theater stage, battlefield style. The enemy would start the battle with a beam sword. The enemy prefers certain moves. The moves being up special. I mean, that's the only move it prefers, really. Just grounded up special, because that's the knife summon move. This is why you needed to watch the previous video, because what I just said ain't gonna make any sense if you don't know what I made Kim's moves. It'd also be a stamina battle, as all of them are. Her ability would be Pokey Things Attack Up. It would be called exactly that. That'd definitely be the in-game name for this ability. While sword, knife, etc. attacks are slightly stronger. She'd be a primary attack type spirit, Ace, with 3 support slots. Next up is Mr. Chow, represented by Crom. This guy, this is going to be one of the hardest Ace battles in the game, I think. There is a rule where the enemy's speed is up, the enemy's sword does more damage. It'd be on the Golden Plane stage. It'd be a stamina battle, the enemy would be incredibly fast, and the enemy's sword attacks are much stronger. His ability would of course be Sword Attack Up. He makes sword attacks do more damage. He's an attack type primary Ace spirit with 3 support slots. Next, we've got Scott, represented by Dark Mewtwo. It takes place on the Spear Pillar stage, and it'd be a stamina battle where the enemy has increased move speed, and its darkness attacks are slightly stronger than usual. His ability would be Darkness Attack Up, which would slightly increase Darkness's power. And as some of you may know, Fire Attack Up spirits do actually power up Darkness attacks as well with a 1.1 times damage multiplier. And so it might be weird and stupid to give Darkness Attack its own spirit, but I figure Scott could up Darkness attacks by 1.15 times more damage, so that it's a little bit better than Fire Attack. If that made any sense. He'd be a Novice Support Spirit who costs 1 support slot. Finally, we have the Legend Spirit, the League of Evil X's, represented by Villager, representing Matthew Patel, Little Mac, representing Skateboard Guy, Ganondorf, representing Todd, Zero Suit, representing Roxanne, Ryu and Ken, representing the twins, and Marth, representing Gideon. As you can tell, it's the exact same characters that are in the classic mode. I mean, I don't know why I would choose different characters to represent them. There'd be a rule where the enemy's attack power would be up. It'd be on the Chaos Theater stage. Reinforcements will appear when an enemy's defeated. They would all appear one at a time, except for the twins, but you'd fight at the same time, just like in the game. It'd be a stamina battle, and the enemy's final smash meter would charge quickly. It's a shield-type primary Legend Spirit, and its ability is Stamina Up. It greatly increases your health in stamina battles. I think that's a very interesting spirit. It's got 3 support slots. And here's an overview of everything we've seen so far. The target list DLC spirit screen thingy with Scott Pilgrim, Ramona Flowers, Stephen Stills, Wallace Wells, Knives Chow, Mr. Chow, Nika Scott, and the League of Evil X's. I like how I included everyone's first and last name. I don't think they usually do that for Smash Bros. Spirit boards, but I don't know. I just kind of like saying their first and last names. It's fun, like Stephen Stills, Knives Chow. I don't know. They just sound cool. Moving on, just a couple random things. Her boxing ring title would be a lot less creative than my usual boxing ring titles, but I figured, it's accurate. Sex Bob-omb's drummer. I actually looked over some of the some of the game's in-game boxing ring titles, and a lot of them aren't as interesting as I would think they are. They just kind of describe who the character is, which, you know, is kind of what they're supposed to do. So I just did that with Kim because I couldn't think of anything better. I also love how I've got her little thumbs down image here. I think that's the perfect boxing ring image. And her series logo would be a heart, representing the power of love. And that's actually it for the Kim moveset. A little fun fact about the heart logo, I originally made it like a normal heart that isn't weird and curvy like this. But then I discovered that it looks like it's an Undertale heart. And I don't want that. So we just went with a little curvy heart. Here's a little overview of all the music and spirits and the stage and classic mode route and everything. Hope you enjoy that. And some credits real quick. You can look at these. These are some awesome people that I could not have made this without. Just stole things from them. But they said it was okay to steal from them. So it's okay. With all that out of the way, that is it for the Kim Pine moveset and moveset expansion. I really enjoyed this. Scott Pilgrim, I want to shout out Scott Pilgrim versus the World the Game for being the only game that I just binged. Like, I literally never do that with games, but I beat Scott Pilgrim in a freaking 2 days. When was the last time I beat a game in anything less than months? Literally, Shantae versus the Pirate's Curse. Shantae and the Pirate's Curse took me a couple months to beat, like multiple months, and I think I beat that game quickly, even though it took months. And so the fact that I beat Scott Pilgrim in just 2 days is hard to believe, but it was just a really good game. And it was just really fun to binge. It was a really tough challenge. I played it on normal difficulty, or I played it on, not normal, whatever, there's 3 difficulty settings. I played it on the second hardest one. And I played through the whole thing as Kim and Stefan, actually. Not Stefan, Stills. I like calling him Stills, not Stefan. I played the Kim first and then Stills, and both times it was really, really fun. Definitely gonna play through it with all the other characters, except Wallace maybe, because I'm pretty sure Wallace is just a Stills reskin. And I want to mix it up at least a little bit every time I play through with a new character. So maybe I won't do Wallace. Maybe I will. I don't know. But yeah, it's a really good game. Cannot wait to watch the movie and read the comics. From what I've seen of them, they're incredibly good. And I saw a lot of them while researching this moveset because the game is probably the least popular version of Scott Pilgrim. I think, I don't know, maybe they're all equally popular, but regardless, even while I was looking up the game, I saw a lot of stuff of the movie and the comics, which does mean I got spoiled some, so I made sacrifices to create this video. You guys better have enjoyed it. For now, gamers, this has been Flaming Game 7. Make sure to like and subscribe for more Smash Bros. Movesets and other awesome videos. And remember, kids, eat your green vegetables. Wait, you guys are still here? In that case, here's a little bonus slide for you. Originally I was gonna make Gideon Graves a separate spirit. He was just gonna be advanced class on the Chaos Theater stage, increased attack power, he'd grow giant when at high damage, represented by Marth. Obviously it's not finished, the stage doesn't have its picture, there's just empty rules here, and I didn't decide on a spirit type. I just roughly started this before deciding to scrap it, but I figured I'd include a little cut content here. He was I didn't really decide any of this, whether he was a primary or, well, he'd have to be a shield type. Not shield type. I don't know what his type was, but he had to be primary if he was enhanceable, which enhanceable was his thing. He could be enhanced into Super Gideon Graves, who was an Ace Spirit, but then you can enhance him again to become Gigadeon Graves, a Legend Spirit. I thought this was actually a really fun idea, but I did prefer the League of Evil X's instead of separating Gideon, so I decided to go with that. But yeah, here's a little cut content for you. Bye for real now. Eat your green vegetables.